Hello everyone, so this is UPSC GS Mains Paper 2 and today we'll be starting the topic 2. Oh my god, my English is getting worse and worse. So topic 2 will be starting today. And if you see this particular topic, now there are three portions. Union and state is one portion, federal structure is another portion, devolution of power is third portion. So let's divide it. And you can see function and responsibility of union and states, issues and challenges pertaining to federal structure, devolution of power. We'll do this first because once we do this, the other two parts will be much more clearer. So let's start this federal structure part. Then we'll talk about union and state, devolution of power, everything. Let's start from the basics. First of all, the term here is federal structure. What is a federal state? What do you understand by a federal state? What do you understand by a unitary state? So again, comparison has to be done between things like federal and unitary, parliamentary and presidential, republic and monarchy. Don't compare federal with republic, means republic. That is stupid, right? And that's many people do. You may feel like, sir, who does that? But yes, people do that. So federal state, what is federal state, sir and ma'am? So simple meaning, state in which power is shared between central government and individual states, provinces, etc. So power sharing is done. Power sharing is there. And it depends, like power sharing will be between what? So we have a three-tier government. In India, we have a three-tier government. So power is shared between three entities, central, state, and local bodies. So similarly, power can be shared between central government and individual states, provinces, etc., etc. It depends upon the state. So it's not like every state which has a federal form of government, they have a identical federal form of government. They can't have multiple tier system. So power sharing, the basic meaning is power sharing is done. Fine. So Indian government has some power, Assam government has their power, and if there are some local bodies, they have their own power. That is a federal state. What is a unitary state? Most or all governing power resides in centralized government. So there is a centralized government. That means central government or government at the center, they are taking almost all the decisions, most of the decisions, if not all. Or there's one more other definition which is very popular about unitary state is that state is governed as a single entity. State governed as single entity in which central government is ultimately supreme. Single entity. So let's say the very famous example of unitary state is UK. And we'll do one mains question also, that although we were under, like in some way or the other, from 1757 to 1947, after the Battle of Plassey, till we got our independence, we were under UK model of governance in some way or the other. Even though East India Company was ruling over us, UK model of governance was very much seen or visible. So UK has a unitary state model. Why did we adopt federal state model? So that is a main question which we will discuss later on. Fine. So unitary state means there is a central entity which is the power is concentrated in the hand of that particular central entity. It's not like they will not divide power. It's totally up to, let's take example of UK, the United Kingdom or Britain. They're not same, but hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you here is that in Britain you have a unitary state. So power is concentrated in the hand of center. If they want, they can create or they can devolve some power to the states or some local bodies, but if they want, they can even take back that power. That is not there in federal state. It's not like Indian government will take back all the power of Assam government. That will not happen. Ideally, that should not happen. That is very, very tough to do because we have also a rigid constitution. Certain portions of our constitutions are rigid. We'll talk about that later on. So now we know something about what is a federal state and unitary state. Now the next question here is, what is India? What is India's model of governance? Is it federal? Is it unitary? What? So we are very good. Like we people are, it is said that Indians are very good in jugaading stuff. We are good jugadu. Jugadu, you understand? What is jugadu? Who is able to arrange stuff from here and there? Who takes the best of everything, best of all the worlds. So we have taken best of both worlds. Best of both worlds. What is both world here, sir? Unitary as well as federal. So US, they are truly federal. US power is properly divided between center and states. Like they are truly federal. So that's why US is also known as Indestructible Union of Indestructible State. So there's a term there, Indestructible Union. You will hear this a lot, or maybe you already have heard it. Indestructible Union of Indestructible States. That is the name of, or US is also known as this. What is India? India is What is the meaning of this term, indestructible union of indestructible states? That means in US, you cannot divide the union. US will remain united. Like nobody can take a certain portion of US. No, it is an indestructible union. It cannot be divided. The country cannot be divided further. States cannot also not be divided. They have 50 states and they will not be divided further. But in India, we know our states can be divided. We have created Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, Jharkhand, so many things. So India is indestructible union of destructible states. Here, states can be divided. And this is again, you can see that this is unitary. If we can divide our states, then how come you're giving true power to the states? If you, let's say, if we make Bodoland or carve out some portion from Assam, if we do anything other, like let's say we make Bundelkhand out of UP and Madhya Pradesh, Bagelkhand out of UP and Madhya Pradesh, make them a separate state. So again, you are curtailing the power of the state. So that's why India is neither truly federal, neither truly unitary. UK is truly unitary. So what is India then? The term for India is federal system with strong unitary bias. India is federal system with strong unitary bias. Strong unitary bias means, so we have taken best of both the worlds. So we have federal features. We are primarily federal. We have given power. We have divided power. That is done. We have divided power, but more power are with center. Divided power, but more powers are with center. So what happened, since we have taken best of both the worlds now? So in this scenario, our constitution or our governance system has both the features. We have some federal features. We also have some unitary features. We have federal features as well, and we also have unitary features. So what are the federal features of Indian governance system? So we have two government. If we right now forget about the local bodies, so you have a government at the center and the state. So that shows that power has been divided. This is one federal feature. Division of power. Power has been divided between center and state. There are center subjects, state subject, concurrent list, central list, state list, concurrent list, all these things are there. So there are certain subjects on which center can make laws. There are certain subjects on which state can make laws. There are certain subjects on which both of them can make laws. So division of power is there. That is also a federal feature. Written constitution. How written constitution? Now, understand one thing, they can directly ask you, or they have already done that. So in pre and mains also, in pre, they will ask you, they'll give you certain features and they will ask you which is a unitary feature, which is a federal feature. So you need to understand this, what we are doing right now. What are federal features and what are unitary feature? How come written constitution is a federal feature? So in UK, you have unwritten constitution. Which kind of constitution? Unwritten constitution. So unwritten constitution means center can make any law which they want to. So that's why their parliament is supreme. In our country, we have a written constitution. So written constitution curtails power of center, curtails power of parliament. They cannot make any law to curtail the powers of the state. So it curtails power of parliament. It gives a sense of security to the states that their power, whatever is written in the constitution, that is, will be safeguarded to most of the extent. Like, I hope you understand, if there is no written constitution, parliament can make any law if they want to. They can take away the power of, let's say, Assam, they can take away power of Odisha, but written constitution does not allow them to do that, which in a way safeguard the federal property of our constitution, a federal feature of our constitution. So written constitution is a federal feature, unwritten constitution is a unitary feature. But then center can do whatever they want to. So we have a supremacy of constitution. This is also a federal feature. Supremacy of constitution ensures that parliament or center does not make any law whichever they want to. They have to conform to the constitution, which has given some power to the states. In UK, they have parliamentary sovereignty there. Parliament can make any law which they want to. In UK, parliamentary sovereignty is there. And there's no judicial review also. Parliamentary sovereignty, because they have an unwritten constitution. So UK can make any law which they want to. So there is parliamentary supremacy, parliamentary sovereignty. In UK, in India, we have supremacy of constitution, which is a federal feature. Then rigid constitution. There are certain features in our constitution which can be amended not only by the center. Center can amend it, but at the same time, it needs ratification by more than half of the states, half or more than half of the states. So in that scenario, what is happening? There are certain features which are very important to ensure federal structure of the constitution, and that cannot be amended by center alone. Center needs the support of states, which in a way promotes federal structure. So rigid constitution or rigidity of constitution, that ensures federal feature, that is a part of federal feature. Then other portion which is a part of federal feature is independent judiciary. Independent judiciary is also a federal feature. How come? Because if judiciary is independent, then they can ensure that whatever is there in constitution, they are safeguarded, they are protected, right? Supreme Court will uphold the constitutionality of laws, whether laws are being made according to the constitution or not. And constitution has given some power to the state. So if center tries to take some power of the states, then independent judiciary will ensure that that does not happen, because that is against the constitution, right? So independent judiciary, that is also protecting the federal feature of our constitution, that is a federal feature. Bicameralism. So the other thing which is federal feature is bicameralism. Bicameralism means two houses. We have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha in a way is representative of states. It is also known as representative of states. So what happens sometimes, let's say there is a majoritarian government. There is a majoritarian government which has too much majority in Lok Sabha. So bill cannot become an act until or unless it is passed by both the house. So Rajya Sabha ensures that a majoritarian government does not pass any law which they want to, right? So in a way they are protecting the, because Rajya Sabha, there are representatives from states and they are not allowing a majoritarian government at center to do whatever they want to do. So in a way, they are protecting the federal structure. So that's why that is a federal feature. So these are some federal features. Hope you understood it. Then there are some unitary features. What are the unitary features of our constitution? I will show you some points. We'll solve some pre and mains questions, and then we'll see some Hindu article on this. So don't worry about it. Unitary feature, strong center. So we have a strong center. More subjects are with center, like when we read the schedule 7, where there's state list, central list, state subject, central subject, concurrent subject. So central subjects are more. You have strong center. Center can make laws on more subject. Then you have single constitution. Generally what happens? If you have two constitution, J&K has two constitution. So two constitution means, and in US also you have two constitutions, double citizenship. Single citizenship also is a unitary feature. Let's say you have single constitution, that means constitution of the country. If you have double constitution, let's say constitution of the state and constitution of the country, that means state is also very important, center is also very important. So single constitution ensures the unitary feature, or it is a unitary feature because it is only talking about the center per se, sir. Single citizenship, again, I've just told you, like in J&K again, there was dual citizenship. So that's why J&K had more power. So their federal structure, you can say they had more power, which in a way center felt threatened. And there are so many other issues related to J&K. Will not go there. Article 370, 35 is so many things. But do understand, if there is dual citizenship, let's say you are from Odisha and you have Odia citizenship also, and then Indian citizenship also. So that in a way strengthens the federal structure. Absence of that strengthens the unitary feature. So single citizenship, unitary feature. Flexibility of constitution. So we have talked about rigidity of constitution, that there are certain portion of constitution which cannot be amended easily. That protects the federal feature. Flexibility means there are certain portions which can be amended easily, like legislative council, they can be abolished very easily. And creation or changing the boundary of state, that can be done very easily. So that is a unitary feature. Like if they want to carve a new state from our state, they can do it. So that is reducing or weakening the federal structure. That's why this is a unitary feature, flexibility of constitution. Then integrated judiciary. This is a very important concept. Integrated judiciary. So what happens? We have talked about independent judiciary, which ensures constitutionality of laws, which ensures that there are provisions in the constitution which parliament does not defy. But there is also integrated judiciary. Integrated judiciary means Supreme Court is at the top, High Court is at the, like below Supreme Court, and then there are subordinate courts. So this is called integrated judiciary. So in a way, what you are trying to say that, let's say you are from Assam, so your High Court is lesser than the Supreme Court, which is at the center. So that means you're saying that the court which is at the center is more powerful than court which is at the state. So in a way, you are subverting the federal feature. You're subverting the power of the state. You're saying that state is less powerful than the center. So that's why integrated judiciary is a unitary feature. Very, very important point. Please understand, sir and ma'am. In US, what happens? In US, the court which is at the center, the central court, they implement central laws. The courts which are at the states, 50 states, they implement state laws. In India, we have a khichdi. What we have? Khichdi. Khichdi is good for health, but we have a khichdi here. Khichdi means anybody can implement anything. Supreme Court can look into central law, state laws, everything. High Court can look into central law, state laws, everything. So we have a khichdi here, and we have a hierarchy here. Supreme Court is at the top, High Court are below them. That means you're saying the courts at the states are subservient to court at the center, which in a way promotes the unitary feature. You're saying states are weaker than, or the courts at states are less powerful than the court at the center. So that's why integrated judiciary is a unitary feature. Then you have appointment of governor, sometimes it is said that governor is a representative of state. That also in a way dilutes the power of state. So that becomes a unitary feature. Unitary feature means state has less power. Federal feature means state has powers. Then all India services. This is also important. All India services. There are three all India services. You should be knowing it because you will be becoming one. So IAS, that is one. All India services, IPS, and then there is IFS. Most of the people confuse this IFS with Indian Foreign Service. This is not Foreign Service. This is Forest. Here the F stands for Forest. So these are three all India services. This is also unitary feature. Why? Because here, well, let's say you are an IAS officer. So you are a representative of center and you can be posted in any state. And then you'll be addressing to the sector. So in a way, you became a representative of center. So state governments can feel threatened by you because they may feel like you can disclose some of their like whatever to the center. Hope you can understand what is happening here. Maybe the people who is from, that's why you have state public service commission, because there will be certain people who will be below you who will be belonging to that particular state mostly, and they will be telling you about the ground realities. Maybe you don't know the ground realities. You can watch Article 15, Ayushman Khurrana. That will tell you the exact thing. Very good movie. Do watch it. So all India services, they are representatives of centers, these IS, IPS, IFS, and they will be posted in any state. So states feel like their power is being curbed to a certain extent. That's why all India services is a unitary feature. Then emergency provision. There will be certain scenarios where center can impose emergency, national emergency, financial emergency, and in that scenario, state powers are suspended. We'll talk about national emergency and president rule in this topic too only, but later on in detail what happens, whether your fundamental rights are suspended during national emergency or president rule, what happens to the power at legislature, executive, so many things, financial powers. We have to talk about that. We'll do that and we'll make a separate video on that. That is a very important thing. Most of the people get confused with national emergency. So let's see some points. So India is a federal system with strong unitary bias, and we have talked about each of these features in detail. What is division of power, supremacy, integrated, all India services, emergency provision? Please have a look at it, and you should be knowing. This is a mains question as well as pre-questions. They can ask you that integrated judiciary is they will give you unitary feature, federal feature, and then they can even ask you delineate the unitary and federal features of Indian governance system. So, and now next part here. So we have talked about all these points, that what is India and what are federal features and unitary features. Understand one thing, if you see the constitution, if you see this, our constitution here, this is part 1, which talks about union and its territories. And this is from article 1 to 4, the part 1, 1 to 4. Sometimes they will even ask this, and I have seen it in UPSC and other PSCs also. They will ask you that citizenship provisions are from article 4 to 11. Citizenship provisions are from, and they will give you options 4 to 11, article 4 to 11, 5 to 11, 6 to 11. So you should be knowing this. Part 1 is 1 to 4, which is about union and its territory. Part 2 is about citizenship, which is from article 5 to 11. So here, if you see article 1, India is a union of state. They have nowhere mentioned the word federation. Nowhere mentioned the word federation. What they have mentioned is that India is a union of state. Now, there are two meanings of this particular point, that India is a union of state. What are the different meanings associated with it? First thing first, that Indian federation is not a result of agreement by state. So that means when we have created this country called India, it's not like we were asking each and every state whether you want to become a part of India or not. And we could not afford to do it because look at our size. We are so diverse. So that means we do not allow any state to secede from us. So we are not a result of agreement by states, and no states has right to secede from federation. Secede, the word here is secede. Nobody can leave us, right? And like US, there was an agreement there. All states came together and they agreed that they want to be a part of something called USA, United States of America. There is no such thing here. It is not a result of agreement by state, and no state has right to secede. That's why we say that India is a indestructible union. Nobody can break us apart. Indestructible union, but of destructible states. We can break the states according to our convenience, and that in a way weakens the federal features. So these are some points which you have to keep in mind. So because of these scenarios, that state has no right to secede, states can be broken apart, there are many people who said that India is quasi-federal. What is India? India is quasi-federal. Some also said that India is federation with centralizing tendency. Federation with centralizing tendency. That means center power is more, or center's power is more. Federation with centralizing tendency. Hope you can understand this. Sometimes now in some PSCs, not UPSC, they will ask who said this. Wheare said what, or Ivor Jennings said what. So UPSC will not ask. Up until now, I have not seen any question which where UPSC has asked that who said this, and they will give you federation with strong means centralizing tendency was said by, and they will give you options like Wheare, Ivor Jennings, this and that. So do remember that also, man. What will you do? We have to read what they're asking, right? So federation nowhere used. And then because of this, we have talked about all these points. Just have a look at it. You can pause the video and you can look at what is written there. So because center's power is more, so it is known as quasi-federal or cooperative federalism or federation with strong centralizing tendency. Now, the next thing. So what is India? India is an indestructible union of destructible state. So what do you understand by this particular image? So here you can see Indira Gandhi ma'am. She's here. And this is during the time of emergency. So what happened there? So powers were curbed of the states. And you can see here, they have bowels and they're coming and asking for their powers. So this shows that center is more powerful. So that's why India is a federal state with strong unitary bias. Then this was a question which was asked in UPSC 2017. Have a look at it. Good question. Don't get complacent. Have a look at it and try to get it correct. Not a feature of Indian federalism. Pause me. Pause me. I speak a lot. Pause me and answer it and then unpause me. Independent judiciary power has been clearly divided. Federating units have been given unequal representation, result of an agreement. So what do you think is not a feature? Independent judiciary we have, and that is a federal feature. So this is gone. Powers have been clearly divided. Now people get confused here. What is the meaning of the term clearly divided? So let's keep it in the loop, man. If you're confused, don't just, sorry, man, don't just cross it right away or that this is the answer. Keep it in the loop if you're confused. You have to choose the best possible option. Best option, right? So federating units have been given unequal representation. Rajya Sabha is a representative of state and that is a part of bicameralism, which is a federal feature. And yes, unlike US, in US, you have 50 states, all states have 2 seats. But here, depending on the size of the state, there are different representations. So that is true, actually. This is a feature of Indian federalism. It is a result of an agreement among the federating units. We have just discussed that Article 1 says that India is a union of state. Nowhere it is mentioned the word federation. So it is not a result of an agreement, not the result. So this is not a feature. So the answer here is, the best option here is D. Good question, not at all an easy question. Okay. And then there are some states or countries rather, which you can see what they are. Federal, unitary, Britain is unitary, US is federal, France is unitary, Japan. Just have a look at it. It's not like they will ask you all these things. It's good if you know it. So now what are the challenges plaguing federal structure? Just let me show you something. Have a look at this and tell me what you're understanding with this. So Thomas Issac, who is Thomas Issac? So he was the former finance minister of Kerala. Former finance minister of Kerala. So there was an issue. And these kind of issues happen in India's federal structure because we know center is more powerful, state is somewhat weaker, although power has been given. Former finance minister of Kerala. So what was the issue? The issue was related to Kerala-UAE and flood relief. So that was the basic issue, Kerala-UAE flood relief issue. So there was a flood in Kerala, and you can see from his tweet also that we asked union government from 2200 crore, they gave us 600 crores, and they are saying, so UAE was saying that they want to give 700 crores. Now what you have to understand is, we are a federal state with strong unitary bias. So we have federal features, but we also have unitary features, and national security and foreign policy, they are under center. National security and foreign policy, they are under center. So no means India will not like, na, if UAE will start giving us 700 crores to take care of our flood. So obviously Indian government declined it. So then Kerala government was giving a justification that it's not like we were asking for it. They were voluntarily giving us the 700 crores. So don't say at anything. We were asking for 2200 crore. You gave us only 600 crore. So you can see there is a tussle here. There's a tussle between union and state. And these kind of tussles has to be minimized by promoting cooperative and competitive federalism. So we'll talk more about that. So this is just one of the issues which you can see. And there was a Hindu article on this as well. So this was an article which came in Hindu, and let me make it bigger so that you can see my Farsi handwriting. And then we'll see some means questions. See, article which came in Hindu, federal state but unitary nature when it comes to national security and foreign policy. And this was about the Kerala-UAE issue. Individual state may have some advantages in dealing with some countries. And why UAE is so close to Kerala? Because there are so many nurses of Kerala, from Kerala, who are working in UAE, West Asia. They are sending us remittances. So, but again, there's article is saying that we should be very careful when we talk about this kind of things, because national security foreign policy comes under the ambit of center. Fixing the federal fallout. Kerala and center always have some issues. In Kerala, you have a communist government. In center, you have a rightist, like BJP government. So there are some issues, so many issues. So these issues have to be minimized because we need some amount of harmony. Then we have talked about this federal features of constitution, all these points we have discussed. And here, see what I've written. When you're comparing federal, compare it with unitary. Similarly, you can compare parliamentary, presidential, FR, DPSP, all these things you can do. Okay, just a second. So unitary features also we have discussed. And what is federalism? Here, there's a definition, division of power between national and regional government, whereby both entities operate in their respective jurisdiction. So US is a true example of federal state. India is quasi-federal. What the heck is happening? And sui generis, what are the things which they have said? Why India is quasi-federal? States have no right to secede. We have talked about this. Then, just a second. Under Article 1, all these things we have just discussed. No equal status. Now, this point is very good. So, no equal status to states in upper house. So, like in US, you have 50 states. All states have 2 seats. But in India, we have, based on their size, we have given like different representation to them. And then this is important. SR Bomai, this case is very important case. You will hear about it again and again. We were talking about earlier also, we have talked about preamble, which preamble is the mind of, is reflecting the mind of makers of the constitution. So SR Bomai, president rule also, when we'll talk about that, it will come into picture. So in SR Bomai, they said federalism is a basic feature. That means it is a part of basic structure. What is basic structure? We have discussed this. We have made a whole video on that, SGKMW. So go back and read what is SGKMW, what is basic structure. That video has covered almost everything. Please look at it. Then let's go and let's talk about one more thing and one main question, a mains question rather. Just a second here. And you people have to do it. When I show you that mains question, pause the video, try to write it, and then we'll discuss more on it. So do remember, they can even ask you in which case it was said that federalism is part of basic structure. So SR Bomai case said that federalism is a part of basic structure. So delineate the federal structure of Indian governance system. Why did India adopt federal model unlike UK, which had a unitary model of governance? Now, second part is very important. First part you can talk about, you have enough fodder now. So you can talk about India's federal structure is very unique because India is a federal state with strong unitary bias. We have both federal features as well as unitary features. Then you can talk about what are the federal features, what are the unitary features. This we have discussed. Next part we have not discussed. Why India adopted federal model, man? We were being ruled by UK and they had a unitary model. Then why did India go for federal model? Why? So the answer is, there's so many reasons. First thing first, we have a subcontinental size. We are not small like UK. We are very big. So we cannot concentrate power in the center. We have to divide power. So that's why, because of such huge size of India, we divided power and we adopted for federal model. So this is the first reason, our huge size, our subcontinental size. Then diverse population. It's not like there's a homogeneous population here. We have a very diverse population. There are Dravidians, there are Aryans, there are Marathas. So, like, you can understand, there's so many types of people with so many different cultural and religious diversity, linguistic diversity, and they need their own set of people to guide them, to rule over them, or to help them in making policies. So we need to cater to these diverse population, and that's why we adopted for federal model where we divided power in different regions to diverse population. Then administrative convenience. It's very easy. If you have all the power concentrated in the center, then if center is not working properly, the whole country will be in disarray. But let's say if you have divided power, if you have given power to different areas, so then it becomes much easier for you to rule over the country because different entities are taking care of different regions. So this is administratively very convenient as well if you divide power. So these are some of the major reasons why India adopted federal model, because we are huge. We have different, like the diversity here is very, very huge, not even comparable to UK. UK have so many immigrants, agreed, but Our diversity is unparalleled. And then administrative convenience. And this whole federalism feature, it was strengthened after the 73rd and 74th Amendment. So these are some points which you have to talk about in this particular question. So let's keep until here only in this particular part. In the next part, we'll talk about some mains question. We'll move on to other areas of topic 2. We have so many things to talk about here. Okay, take care, be blessed, bye-bye.